We are covering ADUs possibly being allowed now in backyards of people's homes in Phoenix for full-time dwelling. That would be amazing. We have that going on. I think that'd be amazing for most situations because we do have a affordable housing issue here in Phoenix, as well as around most of the country, due to the inflation and the housing market and things that have happened over the past several years. And then, of course, we're going to cover rent control, guys. Rent control coming to Arizona? I don't know about that. Rent control coming to other places of the country. I know in certain places like California, there already is some sort of rent control going on, but where does that stand on the national scale with this whole aspect of affordable housing being in play? And then, of course, we have the housing market. What's going on here locally in Phoenix? We care on the macro, right? We care on the macro about the Phoenix area, but the national area, excuse me. But the Phoenix area, that's what we really care about because that's where we're located. That's what we're all about. We are everything Phoenix, right? So we're going to dive into that and see what the market's doing right now. It's a funky time in July, now entering August, for the housing market here in Phoenix. And so what's going on with it? And what do we expect happening, guys? By the way, we're going to cover that and more, and some other development stuff here and things happening around the Phoenix area. But I'm going to get busy here, and we're going to jump in right away to the ADU aspect, right? So I'm going to share my screen. Here's the title right here, right? Phoenix considers zoning changes that would allow full dwelling units in residential backyards. This is interesting. Now, if you're an investor in real estate, this is going to be very interesting to you because obviously if you listen to certain podcasts and shows out there, investors, YouTube, etc., they're talking about ADUs as a big way to potentially maximize an investment. So whether you're an investor or maybe just somebody who has a relative or loved one that's looking to potentially move in with you in the future, or maybe you have that college kid that graduated that just won't leave, but now you can actually graduate them to the backyard. That could be something you can do too, right? So let's dive into this. What's this all about? Now, look at that picture, guys. I'm all about that. I'd have that in my backyard, no problem. Minimal Living Concepts is addressing the affordable housing shortage by building small homes in the backyards of existing homes, okay? This is interesting. I'm going to dive into this. Here we go. The Phoenix City Council is scheduled to vote in September. That's right around the corner here, so we'll see what happens and whether to allow homeowners to build accessory dwelling units with full kitchens in their backyards, okay? This new term, ADU, stands for, by the way, Accessory Dwelling Unit, will replace the guest house term according to city documents. The reason why, big difference, well, I'll just tell you right here. I'll just read it for you because they'll do it better than I will, right? The big difference is that these ADUs would have full kitchens and be livable on a full-time basis, whereas a lot of the guest houses maybe are not allowed to have a full kitchen and things of that nature, right? They're a guest house, or called a guest house for a reason. They're a guest. But this is permanent living, no problem, by the letter of the law, right? City allows it if this passes, right? This is interesting. By the way, I bet you it will. The zoning changes will be a viable option to help ease the housing burden, the co-founder of Minimal Living Concept says, right? It can solve problems for growing families who have a 3% mortgage on their 3-bedroom home, but they need more room, okay? So to move to a 7% mortgage is not really an option. This can be a relief for them to expand their property. It makes sense. Now, if you look over here really quick, speaking of mortgages, we got Mortgage News Daily, which is one of my favorite sites here to follow the interest rates. And guys, it's been ugly. It's been ugly. There's no way else to put it, right? It's been ugly the last several days, especially here on the 30-year fixed, the mortgage rate side. We're at 7.20, right? We're above 7%. Now, obviously, I feel, guys, that the consumer has gotten a lot more used to the 7% mortgage, the high 6.9s, whatever you will, 6.8. And that's why we've seen the market actually do dramatically well over the past several months here, especially in Phoenix. The supply staying low is helping keeping those prices up. But will the consumer now flinch at this? Will they freeze now because, 7.2 is not 7, 7.2 is not 6.9. And so now, I'm just going to wait. I'm just going to wait. But remember, guys, there's still things out there, and depends on what you believe is going to happen over the next 6 to 12 to 18 months. If you believe at some point rates will come down, and we're not saying 3% again, that's probably never going to happen. Let's be clear about that. But if rates come down to 5.5 at some point in the next 12 to 18 months, which, by the way, is very plausible. It's very plausible. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it's very plausible. And if you believe that, there's mechanisms you can do to get an affordable payment. you can do the rate buy down, which I know you probably have heard a lot of, but I'm going to keep talking about it because it's still a viable option. You still have some negotiating power with these sellers to do just that, to buy down your rate and make it affordable for 1 year, 2 years, or even 3 years before it resets to your fully indexed approved mortgage rate. Okay, so there's options out there like that can still get you to buy a house, because just freezing and doing nothing is not really an option. I mean, you can do it, but it's not really the best option. Look what happened to people over the past 2 to 3 years that are still froze, right? They missed out on an average of 56% net appreciation in the Phoenix area, the #1 ranked city in the entire country for net appreciation over the past several years. So that is that's a lot of money potentially based on your price point that has been missed out on because you froze. So obviously you don't rush in to do something that's not right for your situation, your family, etc. But that's something to still be considered. And just waiting for rates to do something is not really a strategy. Hope is not a strategy. I know you've heard that before, so I'm just going to keep harping on that. But I do believe that rates are going to, at some point, they have to tally off, because inflation is actually decreasing. It's not at the target rate of 2% that the Fed is shooting for, and have been very, very in your face about that. Like they make no bones about it. They want 2% inflation, and they're on a mission to cut it until it gets there. Well, it's heading that way. It's just not there yet. So that being said, what if it gets there in the next 3 or 4 months? What if the unemployment rate actually increases dramatically to, I don't know, 4.5%, 5% or something like that? Then those factors will be a big decision-making factor, I should say, in what the Fed does in the future. So at some point in the next year, it's a high probability rates will obviously come down to an extent. Well, if you believe that, there's options for a rate buy down now to get the house you want before you obviously, so you don't have a 7.2% rate for a long, long time. You can refinance out of that, or buy down now and then refinance out of it before it resets. That's the idea. So comment below. Let me know what you think about that. If you think that potentially is an option or smart strategy. If you think it's dumb, then some people are more conservative and say I'm just going to freeze and do nothing. That's fine. I'm not here to say that's the wrong thing for your situation, because I don't know what it is. But we'd love to have a conversation. So DM us, comment, and we'd be happy to have a conversation privately offline with you about something like that. So let's go over here. Another topic, right? Well, let's go back to ADUs. I'm not sure if we beat that horse completely dead here. But I just want to make sure you guys understand some of the requirements, which is kind of cool. Some of the details of this. The size of these units would be restricted to 75% of the dwelling of the primary house, but not to exceed 1,000 square feet if it's on a lot that's 10,000 square feet or less. Okay. Now, if the lot is above 10,000 square feet, the ADU could be up to 3,000 square feet according to the city documents. That'd be cool. Now, how much is it going to cost? Look at this. These average units will average around 700 square feet, okay, and cost about $220,000, which includes everything from engineering, planning, permits, site work, cabinetry, and even appliances. Guys, okay, we're gonna look at this picture of the slideshow. For $220,000, I mean, sign me up for that. Look at this. This is nice. This is not just something they just threw in the backyard for the fun of it, right? If you have a pool, that's obviously what it would look like sitting behind the pool in your backyard. I mean, guys, it's legit. There's a little, I like this picture here, right? Little picture of the floor plan. You got your bathroom, you got your bedroom, closet, and of course you have your living area with TV and whatnot, right? So it's everything you need when it comes to like a guest house type living. It'd just be kind of permanent. The slider doors, I mean, here's your washer and dryer stackable. Everything you need, guys. Pretty crazy, right? Pretty crazy. $220,000. That's, and again, the company, Minimal Living Concepts. Okay, lenders are worried about rent control prospects in government-backed loans. Okay, this is interesting. So you have two sides, right? You have this side that says, look, I think there should be some sort of restriction on what landlords can do to raise rents to keep housing affordable. That's noble. That's who's not for that? I'm for that, but you have to at least consider the other unintended consequences that could happen from that. And that's what the Mortgage Bankers Association is trying to come up with here in this article. So what they're saying is that the Federal Housing Finance Agency issued a request to input to draw a comment on issues faced by tenants in multifamily properties as any opportunities and potential impacts associated with requiring or encouraging specific tenant protections at properties. Okay, so they want rent control. The Mortgage Bankers Association says there's going to be all kinds of problems. They're saying enacting new or expanded obligations like rent control would disincentivize participation in enterprise multifamily programs or in the overall production of affordable housing. Okay, so they're obviously against it. What they say is this. Here's their solution. Okay, here you go. The most effective way to help renters in need is to increase the supply of affordable housing by fully funding successful proven programs like Section 8, which is obviously government sponsored as well, low-income housing, tax credits, and more of that. So that's what the NBA is saying. People who are behind, obviously, the bankers and people who finance a majority of the mortgages out there. Okay, so again, rent control we've seen in California so far, guys, does not. That's my opinion, I guess. It doesn't seem to be working. Put it that way, right? And so what they're saying is use that same government money instead of using it for all the time, energy, and effort spent on trying to figure out this rent control thing. Use that money, taxpayer money, etc., for programs like Section 8 and low-income housing tax credits. And then, of course, there's probably other options too, like somehow building in an efficient way affordable housing. That's what is needed. That's what is lacking. So we'll see what happens here, because if you have more affordable housing, then the natural market will take care of itself and rent won't be able to be raised because there won't be demand for it, because those people who would be piling onto those rentals would have affordable housing or affordable rental housing, right? Either one, to not have to pay those high escalating rent rates. So that's interesting, yin and yang here that we're seeing. That we'll see what happens in the future. But this is a national thing, not just Arizona, in terms of rent control that they're talking about doing, which obviously the other side is pushing back on. So we'll see what happens there, guys. Stay tuned. We're going to go back here and we're going to move on to the next article. This is interesting too. The transportation tax bill. Guys, if you live in Phoenix, you need to know about what's going on here with taxes, because that's going to come out of your pocket one way or the other for whatever the tax is. This is a new tax. It's a small one, but it's a new tax, right? Transportation tax bill signed by Governor Hobbs, paving the way for Maricopa County ballot vote. So it's going to be voted on by the people of Maricopa County. We'll see if it passes. Effectively, what this is Proposition 400 being renewed, which simply states that there will be a proposed half-cent sales tax for everyone in Maricopa County to pay. That will fund transportation projects. So obviously what they're talking about in this is the people who are for it are obviously saying this is going to be great, because it's going to give, obviously the half a cent is going to, over many transactions, people buying things in Arizona, is going to be enormous, right? Billions of dollars, and it's going to help fund the way for transportation projects. You can see right here, according to Maricopa County Associated Governments, the Prop 400 extension would provide nearly $15 billion in transportation investments over 20 years to support a $28 billion transportation program, including the construction of State Route 30, completion of State Route 24, and further improvements to Interstates 10, 17, along with an expansion of regional transit services. And the mayor of Phoenix and Mayor Chandler are in here, both quoted. They're sort of in support of it, right? So it's we'll see what happens, because obviously it's going to go on the docket, and Maricopa County voters, pretty much all Phoenicians, will vote to see if that's something they want to pay for. We'll see if it passes. But something that I think is good to know if you live in the Phoenix area. All right, next one. Why Phoenix is still a top industrial market as rest of U.S. cools off. This is a very, very positive article, guys. Here's some industrial renderings, right? Facilities, etc., that are being built. And guys, East Valley, West Valley, they are taking off in terms of industrial buildings being built right now for all the major businesses to rent and take care of when it comes to like fulfillment services, especially, right? Like all the Amazon and things of that nature. There's so many companies that have e-commerce, right? That it's just crazy that all the industrial buildings need to be built across the country. But right now, the Valley has an estimated 58 million square feet of industrial space under construction as of June 2023, which is equal to 16.6% of the region's existing inventory. That's a lot. Under construction, that's a lot. That's the number one supply pipeline, it says, behind Dallas-Fort Worth at 52 million. And then, of course, the Inland Empire in California at 31 million square feet. So what that means is that Phoenix is trying to position itself to definitely be the hub when it comes to industrial space, especially new stuff, and with good access, right, on highways, etc., for shipping. Now, that all being said, it comes with a little bit of risk, right? Warning signs ahead is what it says here. So we'll see what happens, right? Could this be an oversupply of buildings at the same time going into 2024 with the economy and what it's doing? We'll see. No one knows yet, right? But I think it's good to know that Phoenix is still a top industrial market in the rest of the country at this time still. Surprise and Gilbert are the two, spoiler alert, Valley cities that rank among the best for first-time homebuyers. So if you're a first-time homebuyer, here you go. Two Valley cities are among the top 10 in the nation, the US of A, for first-time homebuyers, according to a report from finance website Wallet Hub. Surprise and Gilbert, there they are. Now, Surprise is on the northwest valley, Gilbert, the southeast valley, opposite ends of the valley, and they still both rank number 6 and 7, top 10, respectively. Now, two of the Phoenix cities, which are great as well, made the top 20, which is amazing, right? Of all the cities in the United States. Chandler at number 12 and Peoria at number 16, which both are opposite ends. Peoria being right next to Surprise in the Northwest Valley, and Chandler being right next to Gilbert in the Southeast Valley. So it's crazy. So it's pretty cool how compared to 300 cities of varying sizes across 22 key indicators of market attractiveness, affordability, and quality of life, we have 4 in the top 20, 2 in the top 10. So guys, here you go. Now, if you want to keep going out a little further, you got Scottsdale coming in at number 24. So even with the high price point of home affordability in Scottsdale, it still ranks 24 because there's so many other good things going for it. Mesa 38, Glendale 59, Phoenix 76, and Tempe number 83. So there you go. That is, how many is that, guys, in top 100? That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and top 9% are represented in the Phoenix area alone. That's pretty sweet, guys. That's pretty cool. Good place to be. If you're thinking of moving to Phoenix, this hopefully solidified it for you, some area of Phoenix. Give us a call. We'd love to help you out. 480-660-5974 if you want to talk with us about that. Housing market. Let's jump over to this and we'll wrap it up, guys. Okay, so is it getting weaker? Now, you know how I like to do some things here. Spoiler alert, you got to pay attention. I'm not going to give it to you. Right, here you go. Let's just go through some of this for a second, okay? So here is the chart from August 1st for the average monthly sales price. Now, if you look at this, 580, 373, 580, that's healthy, that's high, right? What jumps out at you is that the average price recorded at closing is now 580, 373, and it's higher than any time in the past. The correction over the past 12 months is now complete. But however, note this, we should also point out that new homes made a big contribution to the health of this chart, new home construction, right? If we only count resale transactions, we haven't fully recovered yet. That's interesting, but look at this, guys. This is January of 2011, where the average price point was 162,360 coming out of the Great Recession. 162,000, now it's at 580,000 just 12 years later, I should say. Okay, now I'm going to show you a couple more things here. Because the market is weakening a little bit, right? Now, it's seasonal, but we'll see what happens. So you look at the listing success rate, right? The resale housing market has lost a bit of steam over the past 2 months and is now plodding along without excitement and missing a large percentage of its usual volume. While prices remain on an increased trend, the listing success rate has been falling for 9 weeks and is now under 80% for the first time since April. Now look at 2022 on here, guys, this green line, you can see what happened. I don't think, now, you gotta remember, interest rates spiked up big time here in May and June, and then they stayed up, right? And they kind of yo-yo, but they stayed up for the most part, kept going up, and this just trend continued towards the end of the year. Now, seasonally, I can't put in 2019, but see in this one, but seasonally, it will go down. This is a little dramatic. This is not normal, okay? 2022. Nor is 2021, where it just stayed up the whole time, because 2021 was a propped up market with low interest rates and some inflation, right? So I do anticipate 2023 to actually continue this curtailment going down a little bit when it comes to listing success rate. However, this kind of change from being up here, we're at around 90% all the way down to around 64%. No, I do not see that. I think you're going to see this go down a little bit, but it's going to stay probably somewhere in that low 70 percentile mark throughout the rest of the year. Why? Because supply is continuing to stay low, guys. Continuing to stay low. And so I think you're going to see listings be a little more hard to sell, which gives a lot more leverage to potential buyers in this situation, be able to negotiate rate buy downs and seller concessions that are paid to the buyer. So there's a silver lining somewhere always depends how you look at it, okay? So then you go down here to the last chart I want to show you guys, and you can see now we have more red on here. Chandler is still just defying the odds, and Chandler is just going gangbusters, right? 325 CMI, Cromford Market Index, is crazy. Again, a 90 to 110 is balanced, so they're at 325, and they're going up, right? 4% from the last time we did this CMI report. Now you have other ones going down, and by the way, going down is not a bad thing when you're at 209 if you're Glendale, or 206 for Gilbert, because that's high. It's okay to rebalance back down closer to 100 to 110. There's nothing wrong with that. But you still have some other property areas like Scottsdale and PV that are still going up, and they're 186 and 195 respectively. So it's interesting to see this happening, guys. But you do have more balancing out, right? As you can see through most of the suburbs in the Phoenix metro area. So again, we talk about mortgage rates here. That's the biggest lever. It's being pulled up or down, right? That's making these react. Okay, mortgage rates jumped back over 7% today for both sellers and buyers in the resale market, finding this depressing. Wah, wah. Our CMI represents the data in MLS, which is largely comprised of resale listings. Okay, but obviously new home sales are propping this up, as you can see by that $580,000 average sales price, which is the highest it's been all time. Okay. So interesting. Here we go. The builders are loving the fact that supply is so weak in the competing resale sector. This is the opposite of where they were in 2009 when they had to cope with a flood of bank-owned and short sale homes at rock bottom prices. This made new homes look very expensive, especially as resale homes were changing hands for less than their rebuild cost. Okay, guys, so in summary, we'll wrap this up here, tie a bow on it. What this means is that I think you're going to see the market stay overall about the same. I think it's going to maybe, the listing success rate will go down a little bit, but I think the number of transactions that will occur will be very similar to what we've seen in the first half of the year. A little bit less, but somewhat similar. That being said, it's still a good time to buy if you believe, especially if you believe that rates will, at some point in the next 2 years, let's say, eventually settle back down somewhere that's a little more affordable for you, let's say around the 5.5% to 6% range. Because you can always do a loan buy down now, refinance later, if you believe that's going to happen. It's not guaranteed, that's for sure, but we'll see what happens. But I think right now that you can make the argument either side of the coin. It's good to sell because prices are actually very up there, very high, as you can see, but it can also be a good time to buy. It depends on your specific situation. So just don't say, well, it's the market, it's not doing well, I'm watching the national scale. Go hyper local, right? Give us a call, let us know. Watch a show like this that has local data and local data only, because right now, a lot of the entities out there like Fannie Mae, HUD, some of the research companies like Realtor.com, NAR, etc., are all at this point projecting a positive appreciation rate for not just 2023, but 2024 already as well. They could be wrong, but you're looking at around like 9% net at the end is what they're projecting here for 2023, and then 7% plus for 2024. So, I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, but if that comes true and you buy in the middle of the year 2023, by the end of 2024, you're looking at 16% or so of appreciation on whatever you buy. So again, average numbers, what's right for you? That's what needs to be considered. So talk to somebody who knows what they're talking about, truly, and go from there. So guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you. I know it's not your time is valuable and it's not easy to carve time out to watch this, but hopefully this is good education and a little bit of entertainment. I talk fast, I get a lot of information out to you, but hopefully it's worthwhile. And guys, I look forward to seeing you next week here on Everything Phoenix.